G'day family. Sorry I haven't been on for a while. In fact, I haven't been active on the channel in any way, really. I've been a bit sick, not 100% sure what's going on, but I seem to be getting these intense bouts of pain only of a night time, and it doesn't matter what I do. If I decide I'm going to sleep, the pain starts. The rest of the day, there is none. So it's resulted in literally days and days of no sleep, to the point where I haven't even been able to think straight, and then your emotions get all out of whack. And anyway, hasn't been great. So where are we at? We have passed many of the dates that we were looking at. We've passed Halloween, but I've got some ideas. Whether they hold water or not, I can't say. They're nothing more than ideas. My dog's licking his feet in the background. You might be able to hear that. We always believed that we needed to be raptured in a Jubilee year. Now, Mike has put out his most recent video. You can see I'm on his channel there, where he's speculating that we actually aren't in a Jubilee year, and that his math was in error, and that won't start until March 2026. So that leaves us with a bit of a dilemma. If we have to be raptured in a Jubilee year, then we cannot be raptured until March. If we can be raptured outside of a Jubilee, then clearly it can happen before March. Now, how could that be the case? Now, I'm going to first of all say that, I believe that we should have been raptured now, so there is definitely an error has been made somewhere. However, there are other very significant anchor points that we simply can't ignore. Now, if you've watched Brother Aaron, Dr. Barry, Mike, varying channels, we've talked about the significance of the numbers 77, 80, and 84, pertaining to the age of Israel specifically. 80 from Psalms, 77 and 84, we believe that these are markers, but we've also got other anchor points like the rebirth of Israel, by which we establish these 77 and 84 year periods, etc. We're counting from 1948. So we have very specific markers that were, and if you watch Brother Aaron at Got a Minute, he's done a lot of this sort of stuff, identifying the significance of 77 and 84. Now, these are numbers that we believe we cannot pass, but for us to be raptured in a Jubilee, if Mike is correct and he's out by a year, we will pass those numbers. So we seem to be at a point where we have a contradiction. But I think we can reconcile that. I don't know whether this gives us a date, but the only verses that I can see that could allow us to be raptured outside of the Jubilee, if Mike is now correct with his modified math, is the fact, and this has nothing to do necessarily with the 1260 day count per se. And I'll try and explain this. if those days were not shortened, no flesh would survive. Okay? Could the shortening of those days be the fact that we are raptured before the Jubilee? Now, Mike said nothing significant happened with Jesus in a Jubilee, right? But we believe the Jubilee is extremely significant for the conclusion of an age period, so to speak. So, if those days were not shortened, that could mean we get raptured before the beginning of the Jubilee, next year in March. But that doesn't impact the 1260-day counts, etc. It would, to me, more indicate that there is potentially some sort of gap. So, the dates that I would most significantly be looking at, therefore, and these are, I wouldn't say I'm exactly grabbing at straws, but, these aren't solid like a lot of the other research that we've done over the years. We're told in the Bible that God declared the end from the beginning. So let's look backwards. Let's look at the end toward the beginning, okay? So, as in the days of Noah, we know Noah boarded the ark, a 7-day period passed and the rain started. Let's look from the reverse side, okay? The rain started, let's say October 31st, when we expected Halloween, etc., we expected something to happen. Then the 7 days. So looking at it from reverse, the end from the beginning. Now that's loose, I know. But that would give us a November 7th. And a lot of other people, including Dr. Barry, are looking at November 7. That's simply applying that 7-day wait period the other way around, the end from the beginning. Okay? Now, the other one is also very loose. When I say loose, it's about as strong as, the dreams and visions or any of the personal things that any of us have seen. It's about as strong as that in its validity. But there is something universally that we have all seen. Now, Brother Joshua had his visitation. We have had other people with varying dreams, but they're all different. They're all specific, from what I can see, to that person, their experiences, etc., etc. However, there is one universal thing that everybody has seen, and that is simply 11:11. Now, I've been talking to Mike and David and my crew and everybody, even non-Christians, about this for quite a long time now. 11:11. I've put it to the test recently. So I'll get a text message and I'll say to myself, no, I'm not going to check the time, and I'm not going to check that text message at the moment the little ding happened. So I'll sit there for a bit. I'll get up, go over to my phone, have a look. It's 11:11. And then the next time I set a different criteria. The moment I hear that ding, I'm going to check the phone. So I jump straight up, check the phone, no delay, boom, it's 11:11 again. Or Mike will send me a message from USA, and I'll sort of get up at varying times, take my dog for a walk, do whatever I've got to do. And then when I reply to Mike, it's 11:11. I don't know how many times I have replied to Mike. The first thing I reply is, it's 11:11 again. And then I give him my answer. Or vice versa. He sends me things when I check them. It's 11:11 at night. Right now it's 11 p.m. 11 a.m. in the morning in Australia. So who knows, I might get a message from Mike in about 11 minutes' time. But the only other date that I could, and I'm not even timelining this because this is just something I'm speculating about, is the fact that we have all of us universally seen this 11-11. This isn't like an individual dream that one of us had. This is something that collectively we have all seen. Now, that's something I expect. That's why I was never down with the Joshua stuff. I didn't bag anybody out. I took a very neutral stance on it. And I waited and waited and waited till all the calendars had passed for Feast of Trumpets, the Torah calendar, and every other calendar that ended up being pulled out of the drawer. But still, I pass no judgment on that situation. It is what it is, and it was what it was. And here we are. We're still looking. But 11-11 is something that we can all attest to. Pretty much, I don't know anybody in this watch community that hasn't had a really good bash at trying to work out why are we all seeing 11-11. So guys, look, I'm burnt out, I'm tired, I don't know what to do, I don't know what direction to take in life because I've been putting a lot of decisions off based on the fact that I thought I wasn't going to be here, so I'm still just living in a caravan. I mean, there have been little, albeit not really suitable blocks of land that I might have been able to buy so that at least I had some privacy, until the rapture, and I wasn't going to be living, next to campers and partiers in a caravan park. But right now, because I've been waiting for dates, I've put off a lot of stuff. That hasn't impacted anybody whose life has just continued on as normal, but mine had a dramatic right-angle change, which left me in a situation where, I was treading water for a bit. Dates make it very difficult to decide what to do, obviously, because if I now think we're going to be raptured on November 7th or 11th, I'm not going to rush out and, try and find alternative locations to live, etc. And this place I'm at now is basically going to be no good for me after January. They're moving me around again, and it's a really inappropriate site that they're going to move me to right on the road. And I've got a dog. Basically, every time I open the caravan door, there'd be a chance he'd be on the road. So, it's difficult to make any life plans when you really don't know how much longer we're going to be here. And that's the crazy thing about us rapture watchers. We truly believe we're about to leave. We know it's not by our own works, because we need rescuing more than anybody else. We know we're dirty, rotten sinners, and we certainly don't want to be here for the tribulation. We believe in a pre-tribulation rapture, and that's what we're looking for. It's only by the works of Jesus that we're going to escape. I mean, I'm a dirty, rotten sinner. I truly am. I admit it straight up. There's not many days go by where I don't commit some sort of sin. Some, not always intentional, but sometimes they are. I mean, I've had days where I've walked down onto the beach and I've been sick of my dog getting attacked by other dogs. And I've said to myself as I've walked down to the beach, if anybody comes over to me with a dog off their lead right now, they're going to cop it. And they did, and they copped it. I gave them both barrels. I have days like that. There is no way that my works or my goodness can possibly get me off this planet anywhere. All I've done is dig myself a hole here. That's all any of us have done. Dig ourselves a hole to hell. One sin separates us from God, and you can't unsin. You know, if your tongue slips, you can't take back a bad word. I mean, the old saying, if your foot slips, you can regain your balance, but if your tongue slips, you can't take back your words. Well, that's exactly how it is with sin. It's not like you just fell off balance and you regained your balance and all of a sudden you're good again. One sin separates us from a holy and perfect God. Yet Jesus Christ came here and lived a sinless life, was executed on a cross willingly. He rose from the dead on the third day, having defeated death, sin, and the grave. Death, where is your sting? And one day we'll be able to say that too. One day very soon. So it's only by his works that we can be saved. Right? And he offers us an escape because we are told that there is a pre-tribulation rapture, and we are told that we need to pray that we will escape all of these things. Right? That's all of the things. That's the last 7 years. Daniel's final week, we're really, this is terrible stuff, guys, and we want to avoid it. So know that you're a dirty, rotten sinner. You have to know that. You have to confess with your mouth to God that you understand you're a sinner, that you've fallen short. Confess that Jesus is Lord and God, and he's the only one who lived a perfect, sinless life. All right, and then believe in your heart that God raised him from the dead on the third day. Or in fact, he rose under his own power because he was God and he is God. The book of John tells us that. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. He, referring to Jesus, was with God in the beginning. Through him all things were made. Without him nothing was made that has been made. In him, we're still referring to Jesus, was the life of men. And that light shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not comprehended it. Some paraphrasing going on there. So it is only Jesus that can save us, and we are told to pray that we escape all of these things. We know that if we watch, our house won't be broken into by the thief in the night. So we are watching and waiting. But these timelines have got hard, and this wait and this race is very, very difficult, and I sympathise with everybody, believe me. In fact, I can probably sympathise more. You guys should be sympathising with me some, for those who have got a fairly normal life going on, but this is nothing compared to the suffering that Jesus did for us. Whilst we were still sinners, he saved us and he died for us. All right? So just know that this is all about Jesus and not your own works in any way, shape or form, because the Bible says man's righteousness is but filthy rags before the Lord. That means the best that we can do doesn't undo that single sin that separated us from God, and it's that simple. Okay, Jesus throws us a life rope. He is in the boat. We're in the water. All we've got to do is hold on and believe. Faith and belief. And we will be saved. But don't attribute that to anything you've done yourself, because we don't deserve it, not for a second. I don't. On a daily basis, I do not deserve it. I admit that. I'm a dirty, rotten sinner, and so are you guys. You're my brothers and sisters, and I love you dearly, but we're all dirty, rotten sinners, that's it. But we have a Saviour who did something for us that can change all of that and wash us clean. We can be redeemed back to our Father, but only through the works of Jesus. And that is it. And that is all. That is the only way that we can get to heaven. That is the only way we can be part of this rapture. Will this rapture happen on November 7th, 7 days after we saw the Halloween date where we all expected something big? Or will this rapture happen on 11/11, that number that so many of us have seen for so long? I don't believe it. That number that the clock has just turned right now in Tasmania. So I'm going to leave it there, guys. I will update you as best I can, but believe me, I have not been so well lately. I haven't meant to neglect the channel, but boy oh boy, it isn't an easy last 100 metres of this race, and I sure am looking forward to it being over and meeting you guys in heaven soon. God bless.